So today's video is going to use this impressive, really vibrant colour combination. If you want to see what I can create, then keep watching. Welcome back. Today's video has caused me lots of problems. I initially wanted to use this fantastic urn here at the back, and I realised that my plan wasn't going to work because I didn't feel this colour suited the more medieval sort of heritage style of this urn. I've searched the studio, I've searched my shipping container where all my items are stored, and I couldn't really find anything that I particularly liked. So I'm resorting to using this urn, this sort of French, maybe Italian style urn. It's not really what I wanted to use, but there are sort of cerises and oranges in it. Did want to use something that was a bit more modern, but I'm going to have to go with this today because I don't have anything else here and I don't want to waste the flowers. So it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. Now I'm going to do almost like an oval shape arrangement. So it's going to sort of come up this way rather than that traditional triangle that we often see. And I'm almost going to replicate the oval shape of the container. Now on top, I've got some floral foam. This is a full block and I've got 2/3 on the bottom and 1/3 on the top. That hopefully will be a sufficient amount to hold my flowers. I have got some backup flowers as well, just in case these aren't enough, but we're going to see how far we can get with these. And I've got a very limited selection of greenery this week because I wanted quite a formal arrangement, nothing too soft and whimsical. Now the plastic dish on the top of my container is one of these plastic containers, and there is a video that should come out on Tuesday which talks about the different mechanics that I try to use for that container up there, which is quite interesting to listen to. And if you're subscribed to the channel and you've hit that notification bell, then you'll know when that video comes out on a Tuesday. Hopefully today's Sunday, but it's been a very busy week and I don't really know whether I'm coming or going. So I've got floral tape holding the foam into position, and I've taped that to the container itself. You might be able to see that band of tape around the top of the container. And I'm going to create a design that's very similar in shape, or that's what I'm hoping to do. But it might not work out the way I want it to go because I've got so confused over my container, almost lost my rhythm. So to hide a bit of the floral foam, I'm going to use, I've just got 3 pieces. That did just fall off, but that's okay because I can snip it off and insert it into the foam. I've got 3 fairly large pieces of Magnolia, and these have been in the studio for a little while, which is probably why that leaf just fell off. But what I'm almost trying to do is to create a bit of a posy shape on top of the foam. I don't want those triangular, those pointed corners, because it's not a triangle that I'm trying to create. So I'm just using this really to give me a bit of coverage on my foam and to create a little bit of a shape. I'm going to fill in the back right at the very end. I'm going to see how far my flowers are going to take me, because I know there's many of you that don't have access to any foliage at all. So if you don't have leaves like this, you might want to cover with moss. You could use some dried hydrangeas that you've kept from last year, or a good standby is to collect some artificial greenery from your home decor shop that you can use time and time and time again. Now what I'm going to do is to create a bit of a rounded effect or oval shape with the arrangement, and I'm going to start with some of the spray rose. And what I don't want to do is have that obvious point on the top, so I'm going to go around the outside. There's a few snapped heads on this one, so we'll just cut those off. I'm going to go round the outside, trying to create a circle. Now this doesn't come naturally to me. You might all be laughing at home by the time I finish this, because I'm so used to doing triangles. The triangles are a more popular design, but because of the shape of the container, I'm thinking a roundish arrangement, ovalish arrangement is going to work better. So what I'm trying to do is create a circle by evenly balancing out the material on either side, and hopefully we're going to have a nice shape. So if we repeat that slightly towards the front. So what I don't want to do is what I'm doing now, and by placing these two in here, it's starting to form that triangle. But by adding another spray rose in that position there, it will hopefully detract your eye away from where these are pointing at the bottom. And because it's a round flower and not a point, so pointed flower like stock, antirrhinums, gladioli, is traditionally what we would use on the outside to create that triangle. If I use a circular flower, which is what I've done here, hopefully I will get a more circular shaped design. And I don't think I've done a too bad job. So circular, what I don't want to do now is fill in between with a pointed flower, because that's going to make it more angular. And I've got one left, which is going to come right in the middle. And if you think of a clock, that's too long. If you think of a clock, this is going to be the center of my clock, and everything else is radiating away from it in that circular fashion. And then these couple of bits that snapped off, they are short. In fact, that is very short. Not much I'm going to do with that, but I will tuck it in the back just so that it's in water and it's not going to die. So anything that I've got left, I'm going to fill in between, and anything that's really short, I'll just add in at the back so it doesn't get wasted. And that is all my cerise flowers into position. So now I can go in with the bigger round rose, but I don't want to put them in now so that they look like numbers on the clock face. So I don't want to go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, because that's going to look too patterned and far too formal. So we're going to go a bit more random with these, remembering that it's a 3-dimensional design, so I need to bring my flowers forward towards the camera and not just round in that clock formation. Remembering that I need to tilt my flowers in different directions so we don't get too much of a severe pattern that's going to look like that clock face, which I think I've already done. So let's keep adding our flowers in. Now I do have a few other flowers that I want to add in as well, but I wanted to see how far I was going to get with the rose. I'm quite confident, see the link there, that this rose is called Confidential. I don't want to come outside that circle that I've already created, but I've got to avoid, but I need to make sure it doesn't become a triangle. So oval shapes have been used in floral design for a very long time. And if the top flower is slightly longer, then I'm going to have an oval arrangement rather than a circular. And I think that's what I've got at the moment. So if I just lower this one down, it's going to become a more rounded design. And I've got 2 roses left, so try and balance the colour off fairly evenly left and right. Now this rose is a beautiful one for opening fully. It's a head that opens to a really nice size. So I don't want to cram too many flowers around it. I need to give it space to open, and we'll bring that one up towards the top. Now we do slightly look like we've got hands, jazz hands pointing out at the side, but once I've added in all my other material, it's going to look a lot better. So my next flower is going to be this lovely mini gerb. And what I love about this is it's a really good colour link between the cerise and the orange rose. It's still a round shaped flower, so it's really going to suit this style of arranging. And I'm just going to reinforce that circular shape by adding it in different positions and without making it too formal on either side. So we've gone 2 at the moment on one side, and then I'm going to bring a couple more towards the center so that we're spreading that color out really nicely. If you haven't watched the video before, if you look in the description box, which is just underneath the video, then I will name the flowers that I've used in the floral design. But so far I have a mini gerb, a large rose, and a spray rose, and we've got this lovely vibrant colour combination. And now I think the design, that circular shape, is really clear within the arrangement. Next, I'm going to introduce a smaller rose but a more vibrant pink, and it's still all matching in with the cerise rose on the outside. It's a slightly smaller head, and it works really well to have the bigger orange rose as the focal flower, then this smaller cerise rose as like a secondary flower. Now I could easily fill this in with some gypsophilia or some filler flower like September flower, but I felt the white was going to be too much of a stark colour combination next to these really vibrant colours. And I don't want to make it pretty, I want to make it quite contemporary and a little bit modern with its colour choice. So just really continue filling in that outline, and because I did quite a good job of getting a circular design at the beginning, it's fairly easy now to fill in the centre. I've still got a huge piece of foam at the back which needs covering before I finish, but overall that's a really lovely design. It's a great shape. I think looking in the camera that this side might be a bit wide, but I'll have a look at that in just a second. And a good way of telling whether or not you've got a circle is to use a hoop. If you're used to hula hooping, are you likely to be hula hooping? I don't think so. You might have a hoop at home, or a wreath ring, or a circle of some description. I've got these rustic hoops that I use for weddings, and if I just hold that in front of the design, you can pretty much see that it's a fairly good shape. I'm going to push in a few of the outside flowers just a little bit because I've gone outside the circle slightly. And if you haven't got a circle like me at home, don't worry about it. Just visualize whether or not you've got the flowers in the right position. And now that I feel that I've achieved that circular shape, I'm going to fill in with some Alstroemeria. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know I'm not a lover of Alstroemeria in designs because I think it's such a beautiful flower head. When it's immersed in amongst other flowers, it gets completely lost. But because there's a big concentration of flowers on the end, it's going to work really well in this design to really fill it out and create that shape that I so desperately want. Now I'm going to cut them a bit shorter because that was too long, and I'm going to fill them in all the way around, making sure that I've really plumped out the design and there's no gaps as such, and that circular shape is really emphasised. Now I can feel when I'm putting the Alstroemeria in that there's very little room in my floral foam. There is a bit of resistance when I'm trying to get the flowers in. So really speaking, this is going to be the last flower that I'm going to fit in here. But if you haven't got greenery, you will notice that you have to use a lot more flowers to create the design because you don't have the ability to fill in any gaps or to create that outline or to cover your floral foam. So for those of you that don't have access to greenery, sometimes to create a traditional design like this, you need to use more flowers, which is maybe not the best. Now the middle of the arrangement I think is fairly full. I just want to fill in on this area here where the outline is a bit intermittent. So in between our original placement is where I'm going to go with the Alstroemeria next. And this variety of Alstroemeria is called Florinca. It's a slightly longer, more elongated head than the traditional Alstroemeria, but any Alstroemeria supermarket or florist quality is going to be superb in this. And I'm really pleased with that. The obvious gap for me is up here by this Gerbera. So that's where my last flower is going to go. I need to cover the back of the floral foam because that's really important to stop it drying out. But I'm not going to do that on camera because it's a bit boring for you to watch. So with the placement of this final Alstroemeria, that's this design completed. I think that's worked out really well. From this position here, you can't see any of the floral foam at all. It's a great use of some round flowers to complement the shape of my container. And what I think I might do in a second video that's going to come alongside this is to add some twisted willow and some trailing ivy so you get to see how versatile this style of arrangement can be. So thank you for watching today's video. Let me know if you've done a round or an oval shape arrangement before, And what would you do differently if you were going to make this style? So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now.